If you like the following story, please consider liking and subscribing. Your support helps more than you know. We will have more stories coming shortly. Thank you for choosing this one to listen to. Julian sat at the shabby desk in his apartment and felt his heart beating in his throat. He wanted to pour himself a glass of water. Maybe watch some light comedy to distract himself, but suddenly his eyes fell on the blinking email notification on his laptop. Just an ordinary evening. Ordinary problems. Nothing special until the moment he decided to hit the Get Mail button. The message came from his boss's corporate address. The header contained just one word: urgent. Julian's first thought was, is this some unscheduled task again? But something clenched inside. He couldn't shake the feeling that the letter was strange. No greeting, no explanation. Just an attached file with an obscure name, a set of letters and numbers. Julian caught his hand shaking as he moved the mouse cursor over the attachment. Pure paranoia, he reassured himself. His boss Damon must have come up with some project again and sent the wrong presentation by mistake. But an inner voice kept whispering, careful. This doesn't look like a normal corporate newsletter. Still, he clicked on the attachment and waited for the clip to load. A dark screen appeared at first, followed a few seconds later by sound. Quiet sobs or maybe moans. Sounds clearly of an intimate nature. Another second passed. The screen lit up with indistinct silhouettes. Julian saw a female figure leaning over someone. He recoiled, feeling his heart skip a beat. In the video was his wife, Callie, stripped naked, pressed against a man's body. She was either laughing or moaning, and her hands were sliding down another man's neck. Her face was clearly visible. There could be no doubt. Her luxurious dark hair, the curve of her hips, her distinctive voice, all instantly recognizable. And then, next to her in the frame, partially covering her face, a man appeared. And that man was Julian's boss, Damon. At that moment, Julian felt something break in his chest. His throat constricted. He realized he was literally short of breath. Why did Damon send him this? Was it a mistake or a cruel taunt? Is he mocking me? Wanting to show that I'm just a fool who didn't see the obvious flashed through his mind. He didn't watch the video to the end. The first few seconds were already clear and painful enough. Grabbing his cup, he set it down on the table with force, splashing water on the tablecloth. Calm down, Julian told himself, though he realized calm was out of the question. His head throbbed with thoughts. Maybe Damon did this on purpose to humiliate him. Or maybe the video got out by mistake. But then why was it marked urgent? An inner voice whispered, "You've been betrayed, both your wife and your boss." They were both laughing behind your back. Usually, people when faced with something like this either immediately grab the phone, scream into the receiver, or cry silently. But something else stirred in Julian, a forbidden, primal rage. Yet outwardly he remained calm, ice cold. That in itself was strange. Something clicked inside him, shifting him from shock to calculation. I need revenge, he thought. And suddenly everything inside fell into place. There were no more doubts. He didn't want a conversation with Callie. He wasn't going to listen to excuses. He didn't want to make the classic, "How could you?" scene. No, that would be too petty. What his soul craved was impact. Looking at the screen again, he bit his lip for a second. Another moan. A woman's laugh. A whisper from the speakers. I don't want to listen to this anymore, Julian thought. He closed the video, saved the file somewhere deep on his drive as evidence. Then, he sat down at his laptop and began to think, gathering the scattered fragments of his mind into something solid. And with cold precision, he arrived at one conclusion: I'm going to make them both regret this for the rest of their lives. And in that moment, he felt a stunning clarity, as if the entire chessboard had revealed itself. He knew how the game would end. Let them know they're not messing with a wimp, Julian whispered, but with a man who can hit the mark. His lips trembled slightly, shifting into a cold smile. In that smile was a kind of sinister confidence he hadn't known he possessed. Before the moment of that fateful video, Julian and Callie's life had seemed quite happy, at least on the surface. They'd been married for a few years. They'd married young. Callie had a knack for glamorizing everything and making a man feel like he could do anything with her by his side. Julian had fallen for her without hesitation, overwhelmed by her charisma, charm. Julian first built his career at a small local firm that sold and serviced computer equipment. He wasn't a star, but he had grit, a quick mind, and a hunger to grow. He rose steadily through the ranks. Callie, sensing his potential, always pushed him. You need to push harder, we deserve more, she would say. At first, her encouragement gave him confidence. Then one day, she brought news that a large tech company, where a distant acquaintance of hers worked, was looking for someone in the IT department. "This is your big chance, Julian," Callie had said, beaming. "Go for it." The company was called Horizon Systems, sleek offices, huge prospects. Julian went for it. The first interview was with HR. Then he was quickly invited to a second interview, this time with the boss himself, Damon Lang. Young, goal-oriented, charismatic. Damon made a strong impression. They clicked right away. Damon smiled, complimented him, asked about Julian's ambitions, and ended with, "You're a perfect fit. Welcome to the team." It was a big win. From a small local office to a national-level firm. A better salary, real growth, a future. For the first few months, Julian was flying high. He believed everything was on track. Damon was supportive. "Julian, I've got big plans for you," he often said. Callie was excited too, but over time, her energy changed. She began spending more time doing her own thing. Late-night shopping runs, gym classes, friends calling her at odd hours. She'd disappear without explanation. Julian, focused on his new role, brushed it off. That's just her personality, he thought. Callie had always been energetic, social, independent. But soon, little things began to stand out. She started ending calls abruptly when he walked into the room, whispering, saying things like, "That was a mistake, wrong number." Julian didn't push. Their relationship was built on trust. Nothing outwardly suggested betrayal. Even when the thought of cheating crept in, he dismissed it. "She loves me. We've been together too long for that." But now, with that email and the video, everything was clear. Every gym session, every late night, every whispered call. It all made sense now. And it had to be answered. Soon, Damon began taking more interest in Julian's progress. He invited him to the office more often. Asked about long-term goals. "I see leadership potential in you," Damon said. Callie, for her part, began asking strange questions. "So, how's Damon? Is he treating you well? Helping you grow?" Julian didn't think much of it. He assumed she was interested in his career. He had no idea she and Damon were plotting behind his back, or worse, indulging in an affair under his nose. Maybe it was all about power. Maybe she thought being close to Damon would secure Julian's career. Maybe she was just bored. Either way, it didn't matter now. The truth had been delivered, via email, in video form, crystal clear. And Julian knew what to do. He needed a plan, and to make that plan work, he needed an accomplice. Every company has that one guy in IT. Quiet, invisible, but the backbone of everything digital. At Horizon Systems, that guy was Elias Ward, a disheveled genius. Not very social, but brilliant with networks, video systems, and internal tech. Julian remembered talking to him once or twice. He knew Elias could, for the right incentive, bypass corporate red tape, so he called him. "Hey Elias, it's Julian from IT support. I have something urgent kind of off the record. Can we meet?" Elias hesitated, but Julian's tone was serious enough to convince him. They met at a small cafe late that night. Julian asked for a private booth. Elias sat down, nervous. "What's going on?" Julian wasted no time. "Tomorrow morning, there's a company-wide meeting. I need a short video to play on every screen during Damon's speech. No one can know how it got there. Can you do it?" Elias blinked. "What kind of video?" Julian showed him a single screenshot, Callie and Damon together. Elias recoiled. "Is that your boss? With your—" Julian nodded grimly. "My wife." Elias swallowed hard. That's intense. You really want this shown? In front of everyone?" "I do, and I'll pay you for the risk. A lot." Julian named an amount that exceeded Elias's monthly salary. Elias stared. "You're serious?" "I'm serious. You can ask for more." Elias shook his head. "No, that's enough." Julian leaned in. "All I need is for that video to play during Damon's speech. Just a few seconds. Enough for people to understand what's happening. Then it can vanish." Elias paused, then nodded. "Okay, I'll do it." Julian smiled for the first time that day. The next morning came fast. Julian arrived at the office early, taking a seat near the back of the large conference room. He wanted to be present, but unnoticed. The room was filled with anticipation. Rumors had been circulating that Damon had big announcements. Damon's wife, Alina, entered first, a poised, elegant woman. She walked confidently to the front row and took her seat with friends from the executive team. A few minutes later, Damon himself arrived, immaculate suit, signature charm. Smiling like nothing was wrong. Julian watched him from the back, heart pounding. Damon stepped to the microphone. "Good morning, team. I'm excited to share our vision for the next quarter. Horizon Systems is evolving. We're embracing new values, transparency, teamwork, trust." Julian nearly laughed out loud. "Trust, huh?" As Damon spoke, the screen behind him displayed standard slides until it didn't. The video began. At first, it was subtle. A flicker, a dark screen, a strange noise. Then, Callie, Damon, tangled together. Clear as day. The room fell silent. Alina gasped. Someone dropped a coffee cup. The video lasted only 8 seconds, but it felt eternal. Callie's body was unmistakable. Damon's face undeniable. The footage ended. A pause. No one breathed. Then Alina exploded. "You disgusting pig!" she shrieked, standing. She turned to Damon, then to the screen, then to the crowd. Damon froze. "Alina, it's fake. Someone edited this." "No one edited this," she screamed. She stormed the stage and slapped him loud enough to echo. Gasps. Whispers. Phones recording. Alina turned and scanned the room and locked eyes with Callie. She bolted across the room and lunged at her. "You broke my family." Hair pulling, screaming, chaos. Damon rushed to stop it, but was struck again by Alina. The room was pandemonium. Security burst in to separate them. Staff scattered. The video had done its job. Julian sat still, breathing, calm. The plan had worked. The exposure had been deafening. Security guards could already be heard stomping through the halls. But the emotional aftershocks didn't die down for several more minutes. Callie looked disheveled, hair wild, jacket torn, a scratch on her cheek. Damon stood off to the side, catching his breath, eyes wide, pale as a ghost. He knew his life had just imploded. Once the chaos was under control, a deep, awkward silence fell over the conference room. Alina, breathing like a hunted animal, turned around and shouted, "Divorce. Tomorrow." Then she pointed a trembling finger at Callie. "You home-wrecking witch, I'll sue you both." Staff didn't know where to look. A few quietly slipped out, others stared at the floor. Damon stood frozen, trying to form a sentence, but nothing came out. Julian, from the back, met Callie's eyes for one cold second. She looked panicked, like she'd just realized what he had done. "You set this up," her face said. Julian didn't flinch. Let her wonder, let her suffer. He didn't care anymore. The story couldn't be contained. Someone had already uploaded a clip of the fight to the company's private chat server. Within 30 minutes, everyone in the office had seen it. The scandal spread faster than a virus. The executive team convened for an emergency meeting. Damon tried to argue. "This is a provocation. It's been doctored, someone set me up." But the video was too clear, too real. And it had played out in front of the entire company, live. The higher-ups didn't hesitate. "This is a disgrace," they said. "This is reputational suicide." By mid-afternoon, Damon was packing up his office. His wife had left the building shouting, "You'll regret it." As for Callie, she sat in a quiet corner of the break room trying to fix her makeup and hide the tear in her blouse. But it was no use. People stared at her, whispered, "That's her. The one from the video, the homewrecker." At the next leadership huddle, someone asked, "Who's stepping into Damon's role?" Several names were mentioned, but one name stood out, Julian. "It makes sense," a director said. "He knows the department inside and out. He's smart, clean record." And Damon had been mentoring him anyway, someone else added. Julian was summoned. A senior executive pulled him aside. "We need a steady hand right now. Can you do it?" Julian didn't hesitate. "Yes, I'm ready." And just like that, he was promoted. The man who had been quietly betrayed became the man now leading the department. That night, Julian moved into Damon's old office, the leather chair, the city view. The smell of cologne still faint in the air. He leaned back, resting his hands on the polished desk. This was his now. The irony wasn't lost on him. From IT grunt to department head because of betrayal. Callie showed up 2 days later. The receptionist buzzed him. "Your wife is here." Or, "Ex-wife? Send her in," Julian said. She entered, looking exhausted. "Hello, Julian," she began. I wanted to apologize." He stared at her blankly. "I made a mistake," she said, voice trembling. "It started off about helping you. Damon said he could help your career. I thought if I got close to him, it might make things easier for you. But then it went too far." Julian didn't speak. She stepped forward. "I didn't know he would send the video. He told me no one would ever find out." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I love you," she whispered. "We can start over. Now that you're in charge, maybe we can fix this." Julian finally spoke. Quiet, cold. "Start over?" Callie nodded, hopeful. "I've already called my lawyer," he said. "I'm filing for divorce." She flinched like she'd been slapped. "Please, Julian, I'm sorry." "Go," he said, "and don't ever speak to me about love again." She stood frozen for a moment, then fled, sobbing. Julian sat still, unmoved. But Julian wasn't done. Callie still worked in the company, in a low-level admin position in finance, and now she worked under him. He didn't fire her. No, that would have been too easy. Instead, he gave her every tedious task imaginable. Massive spreadsheets, endless reports, pointless audits. He reviewed her work obsessively. "Why is this line item misaligned?" he'd ask loudly in front of the team. Callie would stammer apologies, eyes red, face drained. Every error was punished. Every late submission was documented. Her coworkers pitied her, but no one dared question Julian. Not now. Eventually, she cracked. One night, she stayed late trying to finish a report. A few employees walking past heard her crying softly at her desk. The next morning, she submitted her resignation. "I can't take it anymore," she said, voice barely audible. Julian didn't even look up. "Today's your last day." She lingered for a second, maybe hoping for mercy. There was none. She packed her things and left, quiet, beaten, alone. Damon, meanwhile, vanished from the industry. Word of the scandal followed him wherever he applied. No one wanted to touch him. Alina filed for divorce. He lost his job, his reputation, and likely half his assets. As for Julian, he settled into his new role. Efficient, respected, quietly ruthless. The divorce with Callie was finalized quickly. She had no leverage, no money, no sympathy. She tried to contest the settlement, but Julian had already locked everything down legally. He walked out of court with a single thought in his head: "I've won." At night, in his office, Julian would sometimes stare out the window. The skyline shimmered. The company buzzed below him. He thought of the path that had led him here. Was it worth it? Was this justice? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing was certain. Now, no one dared laugh at him. He had shown them all: you don't betray Julian Pierce and walk away untouched. And that ends today's story. Thank you for listening. We will be uploading more shortly. Take care, stay safe, and we will see you soon.